before we jump into this video, let me tell you something important that happened to me over the weekend. I found out that Spider-Man Homecoming is releasing. I completely forgot about this movie releasing soon. So I'm excited to see it. Or am I? I don't know. We'll have to watch the video to figure out how I really feel about the movie. If that's not a good, enticing way to listen to the rest of this recording, I don't know what is, man. Hello everyone, welcome back to Taran's World, the show where we just talk about something for a period of time. Maybe it's more than one thing, it's always more than one thing. But this week is different. We're talking about numerous themes in one category. That category, if you don't know, there's a movie coming out this week. Pretty big studio release, pretty big important movie for, just in general, for movies. Spider-Man Homecoming. The newest addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the newest Spider-Man movie to also be produced by Sony. Now, this is really important to me. I was really happy to see that we worked out some negotiation and we got Sony and Marvel Studios to work on this property together. That being said, I will openly admit here and right now, I've never been excited for this movie. Now, is it because I think the cast is bad? No. It's because I think it looks bad? Kind of. Now, this movie, when it was announced, I was really excited. I thought the logo was great. Homecoming as the name, I thought that was really good. I like the name Homecoming. Tom Holland, I really like as Spider-Man. Every material we've seen for this movie, all the posters, just anything, the stills, just anything involved in the process behind this movie that we've seen, I just wasn't interested in. That's not a big deal. I still was going to see the movie. I'm still definitely going to see this movie on the weekend, and I'm still looking forward to it very much. But there was something just so animated about everything I saw when came to the posters. And I think it was because they were so bright, because I was so used to seeing these kind of dark and they're still colorful posters. I still think The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was it was a bright poster, but it was still kind of different than what we saw for this Homecoming stuff. And I'm not saying that, the Homecoming posters were bad. They just were too vibrant and too bright, and they didn't look real to me. I like the colors, though. They look really good, but something about it didn't work for me. And that's what didn't get me excited. Then we see some trailers. Now, there are some really good trailers for this movie. Some that I think were terrible. The second trailer definitely revealed a lot of the major character moments that we're going to see. The way Peter Parker feels about, being Spider-Man and how he's only there with this suit, and then Tony tells him he's got to do better, so he's going to have the big third act in the final confrontation with Vulture in his homemade suit. Oh man, I'm just so bored of talking about this movie. It seems I don't know, there's just something about this movie, it just doesn't work for me. I know all the plot points, I know everything that's going to happen, it seems fake. Everything about this movie to me, it just doesn't seem realistic or interesting. There's been a lack of Aunt May, and that's really bothered me. I'm a huge fan of Aunt May. I'm a huge fan of Marissa Tomei. I want to see more from those characters. I want to see more from her as an actress in this movie, but I don't feel like we're getting that. And there's been something off about the casting of the high school students, too. And I'm not saying that's a problem, I don't see Harry Osborn. That's okay. I get you want to set up Harry Osborn later. Maybe as a friend to Peter come the end of this movie, he meets Harry Osborn. I completely understand that. You want to do that, I'm okay with that. That's cool. And I get it, you want to save Norman Osborn for later, but seeing Harry Osborn, you're going to be like, oh, where's Norman? I get that. You want to set up that later. The kid who's his big friend, I don't know the character's name. I don't know the actor's name. He seems funny, and I'm excited to see what he does. Because he probably was acting the most realistic in any of the promotional material I saw, where he just wants to tell everybody that Peter is Spider-Man. That's how I'd act too. I get that. Your best friend reveals to you, oh hey, I'm a superhero, I got a six-pack, and I can climb on walls and shit. The first thing I would do is try to sell that too and market it and, put it everywhere online and everything. That's what I would do too. And that kid seems fun. Zendaya is a great actress. I like Zendaya a lot. I think she's very underrated in all the performances she's ever given. Not that she gave too many important ones. This might be her biggest role yet. And her character's name is Michelle. I don't know anything else about the character. I know there's the kind of a spoiler reveal over to who her parentage might be. I didn't look that up because I didn't want to know. There's something off about her. I think you should have just made her MJ, and I'm still kind of hoping out that she is Mary Jane, because I don't care about, the color of her skin. She has red hair. She can dye it later. I could be okay with her dyeing it maybe halfway through the movie. If they want to do that, absolutely. Do something like that. I really like her. I really want her to be MJ. I really do. I think it would make sense, and it should be really good. Now, if this character Michelle, if they're going to keep her around for a while, yeah, do it. Keep her around for a while. Maybe she's going to play in a more important role later. But I just feel like there are very important characters in the Spider-Man mythos that I think are being underutilized in this movie because of the overall Marvel brand and trying to set up more people. I know we have a character in the high school called Cindy, and I think they're trying to set her up to be Silk later. I mean, I get it. I get you want to set up Silk. Silk is a really cool character. But Peter's still in high school. Can't we let this kid grow up a bit before we even, try to bring in more spider characters? And I already heard rumblings like Miles Morales exists in this universe. Cool, I like Miles. Let's not put Miles in right now. We got so much other stuff we need to do first. We need to set up Oscorp. We need to set up some Spider-Man villains. Let's worry about the other spider characters later until Peter actually becomes Spider-Man. I don't know. I really just think they need to slow down a bit. And they're not going fast with this. I'm sure maybe Miles is a kid. I would like to see Miles be a kid. That would be cool. And just slowly ease your way into something else here. I don't need this to go really fast and abrupt. And, do something like that. I don't need that. We don't need to rush into this and all of that, yada yada. But take your time. Tell the stories you want. Who's the kid that Peter's interested in this movie? I forget her name. Is it, I don't know her name, but, in the trailer when him and his big friend are talking about, like, the new top she's wearing with a skirt. That girl, who is that girl? I don't know who the actress, I don't know her name. Is she Liz Allen? Was she Liz Allen? I think she might be Liz Allen. I don't know. Like, Liz Allen's important. I get that. Completely get that. Don't know why we couldn't have Gwen Stacy in here. I know that we have this thing where each new movie we have to make new female characters, but Peter Parker remains a white kid who's British. And yeah, I don't know. Raimi's movies, we had Mary Jane, and they were in high school. They moved out of high school like that. Mark Webb's with Andrew Garfield. It was Gwen Stacy. That was cool. We had some scenes of Mary Jane that were shot, but they weren't in. That's cool. I want to see Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy in these movies. I really do. They are two of the most important characters in the Spider-Man lore that I think need to be introduced into these movies, and I really want to see them. And was that girl from The Nice Guys? Is she Betty Grant? What's like the reporter lady? Was she that girl, or is she Gwen Stacy? Like, why can't we just have normal characters from the Spider-Man comics in there? Have the fat friend be the friend of Miles when it comes time for Miles to be introduced, and let's get Harry Osborn in here. Let's get Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy. I want to see them. They're important. Liz Allen, sure, keep her in there. Michelle, you can keep Michelle in there. I know Zendaya is a good actress. Let's keep her in there. So this brings me to the character I've inexplicitly didn't talk about when I was ranting for a sec. I'm not going to edit this one. I think I'm just going to leave all the long pauses and the ums and everything. This character, I like him. I like the actor. I like the character. This performance, though. This performance scares me because I don't know if I like it or not. That is the Grand Budapest Hotel kid playing Flash Thompson. Now, I know we're at a different time in our lives where we can change characters like this. That's fine. I'm definitely open to changing characters and doing something new and different. That's not the problem here. The problem is I don't see this guy as a bully. Just kind of like angry that Peter is getting attention, and that's the problem. I like Flash Thompson because he's kind of this rough, aggressive guy who doesn't like Peter, but secretly admires Spider-Man so much that he doesn't know it is Peter. I like that story. I want him to be a bully. I want him to be mean and rude to Peter because it's 2017, okay? We can still have people being rude. We can. We can still have kids being this mean to other students and it being PC. It can be politically and it can be progressive and just doing something like that. We can still see that. And I know there was this comment made, he's kind of like an online bully who like says mean things to Peter. No, that's stupid. Physically try to hurt Peter. I don't see it from this kid. This kid looks too soft and nice to be a bully. Even an online bully. I don't see this kid and think, oh, he's mean, he's a dick. I see him be like, oh, he's nice, he'd probably go for milkshakes or something. That's how I see this kid. He doesn't seem like a bully. Peter seems more like a bully than Flash in this. And that I don't know. When I see the movie, I'll definitely talk about this more, because this is an issue I did have. And this kind of goes back to something else I wanted to talk about a bit, with the Tom Hardy Venom movie. And I don't know where the fuck this takes place. This movie. Is it part of the Marvel Universe? Is it not? I don't care. But if it is, I want Tom Hardy to be Flash Thompson. I do. If you want him to be Eddie Brock, yeah, that works too. But I really want him to be the Agent Venom Flash Thompson. Because when it comes to the symbiote, that is the best way you can make him the hero. And R-rated, he's aggressive, he's tough, he's scary, that kind of stuff going on there. Make him Flash Thompson. But if it takes place in the same universe, our Flash Thompson is the kid from Grand Budapest. That's the problem. No, it worries me a bit, because are they going to try to set this kid up to be Agent Venom later if we do something like that? Because I don't see this kid at all being a superhero, and it kind of stupid. Like, are we going to see him want to go into the war, into the military? Are we going to hear some, maybe like Spider-Man 4, that Flash Thompson got his legs lost in battle and he's coming home? Are we going to see that? Because that is a big part of Flash's character too, and I think they should keep that in there. You see, the Raimi Spider-Man, was it like Joe Manganiello was Flash Thompson? I can believe that guy going to war. I can believe him getting hurt and losing the loss of his limbs. I can believe all that. I can even believe the weird blonde guy that we had in the Andrew Garfield movies. I can believe him going to war too. I don't believe that this kid would do anything so ballsy. He just seems like he's a rich kid with issues, and I don't like that. It takes something away from the character of Flash when we're changing him like this. And I'm definitely open to changing characters. I love a young Aunt May. I think Marissa Tomei is going to knock it out of the park. I really do. I think Michael Keaton's going to kick ass as the Vulture. But this one bothers me because it doesn't seem good, like a good change to a character. And I don't know, maybe if I see the movie I'll change my mind, but until now, something just doesn't seem right about it to me. And I'm going in it with an open mind, but I do have a lot of issues about this movie because of that. So, this Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm definitely going to see it. I'm not going to say it's my most anticipated of the year. I honestly think it's my least anticipated superhero movie of the year. Like, I went into Guardians. I didn't care to see Guardians either, but Kurt Russell, I was really excited to see Kurt Russell. Sylvester Stallone, I was really excited to see him in here too, and I'm not a big Stallone guy. Michael Rosenbaum, that got me excited. Ego, that got me excited. Just the possibility of seeing these characters that I knew and I loved come back for something bigger, that got me excited. And was it my favorite movie of the year? No, it bored me to death. I didn't like it that much. But I was excited to see it. Because of the material. Fox on the Run sold me. There hasn't been any material for this Spider-Man movie that's sold me on the movie. And I'm okay with Robert Downey Jr. being in here. I'm okay with that. I get it. It feels like they're doing a lot with him, though. And that's kind of a problem. And it's not like it's going to affect the movie or the linear storytelling or make it about Robert Downey Jr. They're not going to do that. It's not going to be a Tony Stark movie. And I know that. I'm not going to worry about that. I just feel like they're definitely pushing to have him in this movie. And you see that on the posters. You see that in all the trailers. Because I think all the trailers have something to do with Iron Man. That's weird. This should be a Spider-Man solo movie. because this is our introduction to the character. Yes, we've seen him in Civil War. That's not an introduction. That's just throwing him into the world to show he's existing. We've seen that before. Okay? Happy Hogan is a character I think you should keep. Like, less RDJ, more Jon Favreau. I mean, I think that would work better. Because that's a great tie-in to an already existing character that we know, we respect, and would bring something else to the role and to the characters that we love and we could see again happening. So, I really think it should have just been Happy Hogan we see. And I get RDJ, they need to have that big name in here to make it a Marvel property. That's what they're trying to do. I get that completely. And I just feel like we've seen too much of Tony Stark and too much of Iron Man. And maybe that's all we'll see of him. Maybe that's all we'll see. And I hope it is, because I don't want to see a lot of him. Man, I don't know. That's kind of just my little rant about the characters and kind of stuff going on about that movie. So I do want to talk about the future of Spider-Man Homecoming and the future of Spider-Man in the MCU and the spin-off movies from Sony and all that kind of stuff. But before that, I want to quickly talk about character. The character of Peter Parker and the character of Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. I'm never going to say Spider-Man is in my top 10 favorite superheroes of all time. He's not. I know he's not. But I really like the character. I think he's a very important character and a great introduction character to a larger world of comics. He is a character that I would say before Iron Man or Captain America, Hulk, or any of those big names, you want to jump into comic books, I'd say start with Spider-Man. Pick up the Ultimate Spider-Man run from Brian Michael Bendis that started in, beginning of the 2000s, the 160 issue run. I'd say start there, pick that up, get to know the character a little bit, and then go deeper, get into the past issues, the McFarlane stuff from the 90s, the Steve Ditko and Stan Lee stuff from the 60s. Jump into that after. But I think you need to... Spider-Man's a great jumping on point. You get a larger world feel from Spider-Man. You know, he's a very important character in all of the events that take place. He has some really great events himself from Dan Slott with a Spider-Verse and Spider Island and Superior Spider-Man. There's some great stuff happening with that stuff too. He's a really important character. And if somebody who's never read comic books, like, jump up to me and say, you know, I want to get into the Marvel universe of comics, where should I start? I would say, pick up Spider-Man, start with Ultimate Spider-Man. It's a great way. The character's young, he's still fresh, he's got these important people in his life, he's got an MJ, he's got an Aunt May, he's got a Harry Osborn, he's got these important characters in his life. Great way to start. We get an introduction to all the villains. It's a great character. This is where you should start. Then go back and pick up the 90s X-Men, pick up someone whenever you want, or there are other characters you're interested in. But start with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a great jumping on point for people who want to read Marvel Comics, because he's a fun character. And then you can get into the dour, bitter stuff later, you know? Go to, like, the weird eras of Spider-Man. So, where did I meet Spider-Man? I love these kind of things when people talk about this. Where was your introduction to a character? When did you first fall in love with him? I think, for me, this is a really interesting question. Because I think it goes back to this thing of... I'm a young guy. I'm young. I am almost 20. So I'm 19. I don't know why I said almost 20. I am 19, and I know Spider-Man from two very different things. My first introduction to Spider-Man, I'd say, would probably come from the Sam Raimi movies. That's where I knew he was important and he was prominent. My dad was a big fan of Spider-Man, and I knew of Spider-Man because of him, and we watched the movies together. We watched the first one and the second one. The third movie hadn't come out yet, so I didn't know a lot about Spider-Man. I went to these movies, I was like, this guy is really cool. He's swinging off webs, you know, he's a spider, but he's a guy. That's pretty cool. And then that's when I first just learned about him. I learned Peter Parker. I learned about that. There's another way I learned about him a lot, and that's on this old cartoon. Was it like Disney Channel or some shit? One of those back in the day of the early 2000s. They'd play reruns of old cartoons on one of those channels. I think it was Disney. I don't think it was Cartoon Network, because I don't know, but they play the 60s Spider-Man cartoon, one of the really important theme song, which I might play at the beginning of this. At the time of this recording, I don't know if I'm going to play it yet. So, yeah, they play that old Spider-Man does whatever a spider can cartoon. That one, you know the one I'm talking about. And that's where I learned a lot about Spider-Man's villains. And I met a lot of the ones I liked, and I know the ones I liked, and I knew the ones I didn't care for, and it was really exciting. That's really my introduction to Spider-Man. Now, he was never the character that I even jumped towards when I was younger. I liked the Hulk. The Hulk was my favorite character when I was young. He was just so cool and tough and big and powerful. And Spider-Man was there. I liked Spider-Man. I still really like Spider-Man. But he was never at the level the Hulk was for me. And I was just obsessed with the Hulk. And I really liked Cyclops too. Yeah, those Bryan Singer, those old X-Men movies, I really liked Cyclops. I know. Who likes Cyclops, right? I do. Cyclops is one of my favorite X-Men. I like him. He's really fun. He's really cool. But we're talking about Spider-Man. That Cyclops shit's for another day. Spider-Man. Those Sam Raimi movies, they were really good. I think they are still some of the best superhero movies out there. Say what you will about Spider-Man 3. I think it got too convoluted near the end. They tried to introduce too many villains, and they just lost traction. They really did. They just lost traction. If Spider-Man 3 just focused on Sandman, yeah, that was the villain, Sandman. If it just focused on Sandman and the story of redemption and him trying to change his life for his daughter and doing that kind of stuff, that would have been better. You could have Spider-Man talk to him on an emotional level about trying to be a better person, and that would have worked for me. Don't try to throw Venom in there. I didn't want to see that. Topher Grace, he's an actor. He's definitely an actor. I would never say he's been a good actor. He's constant. He's in shit. He gets stuff done. And James Franco. My God, James Franco as the Green Goblin. They call him like the new Goblin or something. I'll admit, I had that action figure. I had the Venom one too. And the Sandman. That Sandman was still one of my favorite Sandman action figures from that movie line. Of what company really? It was Hasbro, but like what line released it? I can't remember. I love that Sandman. That for the longest time was my comic Sandman because it looks so accurate. I mean, he's just in a t-shirt. It was so cool. But the new Marvel Legends Sandman's really cool. Yeah, just throwing that out there. The new Marvel Legends Sandman is definitely worth picking up if you have to build the whole wave. It's a good wave, I would say. Definitely the all new 2099 is my favorite figure from the wave. It's a really nice figure. It's really fun. The articulation's great. The coloring and the paint is so cool. The Black Suit Spider-Man's cool too, and the Shocker's not bad. It's such a strong wave. And the Jackal with the new mold, it's really cool. Spider UK was really cool too. And I don't know, I didn't like the Green Goblin that much. I already had the good one from the Onslaught series. But going off a tangent about that, what were we talking about? Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi movies. Those are good movies, man. Spider-Man 2 definitely holds up. And it was so fun. It's such a great movie. And they made Mary Jane matter, and they made Aunt May matter, and that was so fun. And Tobey Maguire, I'll say it. Maybe it's an unpopular opinion. Maybe it's a popular opinion. He's my favorite Spider-Man. He's my favorite Peter Parker. I liked Andrew Garfield a lot. I thought he captured the wit and the awkwardness of Peter Parker. But there's something just more realistic in the portrayal of Peter Parker from Tobey Maguire. And I gravitated towards that more. I still think he's the best Spider-Man. And maybe Tom Holland will change my mind. What I saw in Civil War, I liked. I really did like. But I need to see more from him. I want to see him hit those emotional beats and not just the funny kind of haha, look at me, I'm so young, look how old Star Wars is kind of beats. And that's not what I want to see. He plays the emotional beats well. Then yeah, maybe I do think he could be my favorite Spider-Man. And I like that he's young. I like that he's young. He's like closer to my age, man. That's ridiculous. That's cool. That makes me happy. But that first Spider-Man movie from Sam Raimi, 2001, I think it was released, or 2002, I can't remember. That was great. You know, like, oh, it was so fun. It made me so happy just to see the Green Goblin. And I liked the Green Goblin suit in those movies. I thought that was pretty cool. It was interesting that they went for that approach. I do like the purple beanie more. I like that. I think it's funny. I think it's cute. I think the Green Goblin's cute. I'll say it. The Green Goblin's cute. Yeah. I'll just keep repeating myself till I figure out what we're going to talk about next. Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. He was really good too. They knew how to cast the villains, and don't try to tell me who played Sandman, because I don't fucking remember. I'm not going to look that shit up. I don't care, man. You know? I don't. That movie kind of bombed. You know, the whole thing with the symbiote in that movie, you know, I was definitely on board with it. I liked it. It was a really cool idea. Now, was it the best executed idea? Oh, hell no, it wasn't. but it was really fun to watch and really cool to see. I really appreciated it. And the whole thing with the dancing Peter and like the weird angsty haircut he got, looking like Ryan Gosling at the end of La La Land. I will say this about it, and this is the most positive thing you will ever hear anybody say about it. I think it worked narratively for the story they were telling about the symbiote. I do. It felt like it would happen with the symbiote. Now, whether it would affect Peter so emotionally in the comics, who knows? That could be different. That could have went way differently. He wasn't dancing in a club, pissing off, MJ and shit, and getting that Gwen Stacy, But I think it worked narratively for the story they were trying to tell, and whether or not you like it, I know nobody likes it really, I think it worked. I'm not saying it was a great idea. I'm just saying it worked. I believed it. I believe that's what would happen. So, that's fine. Let's start talking about Sam Raimi, because we have another reboot to go to, which happened a couple years after that. 5 years later, we're rebooting. Sony's like, we need a new property. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is dead. So, yeah, let's get that new weird kid from The Social Network. You know the one I'm talking about? No, not that one. The other kid from Social Network. Not Lex Luthor, the other kid. Bum-ba-da-da! We have The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, starring Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, starring other people as the other people, Dane DeHaan, I think, was Harry Osborn in the next movie. These movies were stupid. I'll admit that I did not like them that much. Here's what I liked. I liked seeing the Lizard on screen. I'm a big fan of the Lizard. I think he's cool. Put some fucking pants on him, though. I hate seeing monsters without pants. I don't know why. It just bothers me. Like, they have genitals, don't they? Just put pants on them. Don't give him, like, a human lizard-looking face. Make him a lizard-looking face. Like, we have such good CGI now. Why can't we make, looking like a lizard? I don't know. I mean, that kind of bothered me. Andrew Garfield portrayed it well. The costume was kind of dumb. Gwen Stacy, she was cool. I mean, Emma Stone's a great actress. She was cool. Don't know much else to say. Dennis Leary was cool. Sally Field, was it Martin Sheen that played the Uncle Ben? I think it was Martin Sheen. Yeah. Telling the story of Uncle Ben again, I honest to God wish they would do it in Homecoming. I do. I really do think that we need the story of Uncle Ben. And it's a lot like Batman's parents, where you always know what's going to happen. It's a definitely important part, but it's one of the most important parts of the story of Spider-Man. It really is. It makes the character pretty much. It's like Batman. Without it, the character isn't complete or he's not different. It's one of those things where you can't bring that character back from the dead because it's going to affect the narrative story and how you view Spider-Man as a whole. He couldn't save his uncle. He could try, but he could never save his uncle. He was destined to fall, and the line of great power comes great responsibility is directly affected by the death of his Uncle Ben. And I really don't want them to bring Uncle Ben back. And I really want to see Uncle Ben in Homecoming. And I think it matters. I honestly think it matters to see Uncle Ben. And I like how in Batman v Superman, we do get the one shot of Maggie and Negan getting shot in the alley. That's fine. That is fine, But, and you see where it was going too, right? Because we're going to set up Batman. Here's a quick shot of that. I liked it. It was fine with me. Didn't do anything else to the story. It was just an important scene to add. I want to see a flashback of Uncle Ben dying. I know, that sounds so dark. I need to see Ben die. I really want to see him, though. He's an important character in these movies. We need to see him. He's going to make or break something for me. And I can get by them not wanting to show him. But if we go this whole fucking movie and there's not a reference to Uncle Ben in any way, I'm going to hate this movie. Because Uncle Ben is such an important character to Spider-Man. He's so important. You need him in your life. Well, I guess he's not in your life, but you need the idea of Uncle Ben to be part of Peter's whole understanding and kind of thing. And that may be, we've seen a lot of comedy in these Homecoming trailers. Not an issue. Comedy is great. I love a good comedy. But there's also something so tragic about Spider-Man in the way that he handles life. He's not rich, he's not an important guy. He's just an everyday kid trying to figure out how to do these larger-than-life stuff to make his uncle proud because he couldn't save his uncle. He's doing everything for his Uncle Ben. He's doing everything to protect the people in his life so they don't end up like his Uncle Ben. That is such an important message I want to see get across in this. And if we just play up the whole angle of Tony Stark thinks Aunt May is attractive, I can respect that. I can honestly respect that. But if in one of those scenes we don't get this heartfelt moment where it's Tony Stark and Aunt May and they're talking, well, what happened to Peter's uncle? And she says he was shot and it really hurt Peter for a long time. And I still think Peter's trying to do all these science things and work with the Stark internship to make his uncle proud of him. I want to see, even if it's not Peter directly talking about him, even if it's just Marissa Tomei talking to Art DJ, I need that scene. I need a scene about Uncle Ben, or else this movie just lost some of its emotional pull for me. And I know, I can see where people are like, we've seen the Uncle Ben story so many times. That's because it's an important scene to tell in a Spider-Man movie. Because it makes the character. You shouldn't glimpse over it. You shouldn't be like, oh, Uncle died. Oh no, that sucks. And then have Aunt May be like, well, I'm single now or something. You need the emotional weight. You need it. I just really hope we get a good scene with them. I do. And wouldn't it be so cool if it was Tobey Maguire playing Uncle Ben? I think he's still kind of young for Aunt May, for Marissa Tomei, but it'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see that. So what was I talking about before I went on my Uncle Ben rant? Were we talking about Mark Webb's Spider-Mans? Yeah, sure. We'll go back to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Gwen Stacy dies. I liked that. You hear her neck go, kiku, there goes the neck. That was cool. Dane DeHaan as Green Goblin. Stupid. I like Dane DeHaan. Is it DeHaan? I don't know. I like him. I'm actually really, really, really excited to see Valerian because of him and Cara Delevingne. I want to like them, but I haven't really liked them. I want to like those two. So I hope this movie makes me like them. I think it will. I hope the movie's good. What else? Jamie Foxx was the Electro. The Electro was Electro. Whatever. The character happened. I didn't think much of it. It was kind of dumb. The movie just kind of fell apart trying to build a universe. Never put your universe before your characters. Put your characters ahead of anything you're trying to build, because now we don't have a Sinister Six. Now we have a wasted Black Cat in that universe. And we have Paul Giamatti as the Rhino. What the fuck is Paul Giamatti doing as your Rhino? That's so stupid. And why is the Rhino in a giant fucking metal suit looking like a tank? That's stupid. You ruined the Rhino. I love the Rhino. You ruined the Rhino. You stupid, stupid movie. Just so dumb. Just a waste of time. Like, I don't even remember what happens, there's blood, I think. Spider-Man's blood, does something, right? Because it can heal, or webs or something. I don't know. It was stupid. It was dumb. Why do we have to have, a new villain every time we reboot? We can recast Spider-Man, we can recast MJ, we can recast Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Why can't we recast Green Goblin? Or, Dr. Octopus? Why can't we recast them? It's not, a big deal. We know there's a new thing happening here. We got a new Magneto. We got a new Toad. Did we get a new Toad? Yeah, right? We had to have gotten a new Toad. We've gotten a new Mystique, I guess, is a better example. Got a new Doctor Doom. What is it about Spider-Man villains where we can't have a new one? And why are they always, the green ones, the green costumes? Green Goblin, green. Lizard was green. Sandman had a green shirt. Dr. Octopus was a green leotard, pretty much. The Vulture's green. Here's what I will say about Michael Keaton's The Vulture, though. Yeah, I can say The Vulture for this one. It makes sense, not the Electro or the Sandman. Well, the Sandman doesn't sound too bad. I think that's the name of the Alan Moore comic, though. No, Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman. I'm sorry, not Alan Moore. Neil Gaiman wrote the Sandman. Michael Keaton's Vulture. Vulture. I love the suit. I love the suit. I think it makes sense. It looks good. and it works. It 100% works. I love the color. I love the helmet. I love the weird fur on the neck. That looks so good. That's a great update of a suit. It looks like flight suit. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So this is going to lead us into the larger topic, which is these spin-off movies. These spin-off fucking movies, Silver and Black, or was it Black and Silver? The Black Cat and Silver Sable movie. I don't want to see it. This sounds stupid. All these movies sound so stupid, and I don't want to see them. Except for the Tom Hardy Venom movie. That sounds great. You get Carnage in there. Yes, absolutely perfect. Can't wait to see that one. R-rated. That's cool. That's all I want to see. Make Agent Venom your whole hero. That's all you have to do. The Silver and Black and Silver, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't care. I really don't care. Like, I've said this before in one of my older videos. I think Black Cat is the worst ripoff Marvel has done, because they haven't done anything meaningful with the character of Black Cat. And Silver Sable, they can make some cool shit with Silver Sable. Was she like the Ravengers was her team? Or was it the Ravengers? Or like, I don't fucking care. Nobody cares. Like, this could be a good movie, but when are these two ever gonna meet? That's the real point. What are they gonna do? You're gonna do this movie. Alison Brie should be Black Cat. That's all I'll say about that one. And yeah, so the Venom Tom Hardy, absolutely perfect casting. There's one person who can just act tough and do nothing. It's Tom Hardy. So definitely put him in anything you gotta do. Whatever you can, make him a bigger guy. There's gotta be a bigger picture deal here, right? Because if he's Venom and Mad Max, then this guy can just knows how to grunt and act tough for no reason. He's the best. Oh, Tom Hardy is so good. And he's in Dunkirk. Oh, I can't wait for Dunkirk, man. Like, oh man, that's so good. And I think Sony also said they're looking to do spin-offs of Mysterio and Kraven. Here's what I'll say about these two. Mysterio, Kraven the Hunter. This is going to be so weird, because those two characters, Mysterio, Kraven the Hunter, those are my two absolute favorite Spider-Man villains. I absolutely love Kraven the Hunter. I love everything the character does, the way he talks, the way he looks, the way he does. He's a hunter. He's a hunter. He's hunting the best prey of all. He's hunting man. And the man is also a spider. And the man is just crazy and just doing weird shit. And Kraven is so cool and so weird. And I want to see him fighting like lions and shit. If we're gonna get a Kraven movie, he better be hunting some fucked up person, man. Like, who could he hunt? You know, who is in the Spider-Man universe he could hunt? The Lizard? Oh, what if the Lizard goes to like this weird island? All right, everyone, here's the pitch for the Spider-Man. Here's the pitch for Kraven the Hunter, the movie. All right, Kraven the Hunter is hired by Norman Osborn, played by Matthew McConaughey, to hunt down the Lizard, because the Lizard is using some weird technological thing that he stole from Oscorp in order to build an island of lizard people. So Kraven the Hunter has to travel to a remote island, the Galapagos maybe, if that's still a thing. Is it? I don't know. He goes to the Galapagos, and he's hunting a lizard man. And all in the meantime, the lizard is setting so many weird, messed up creatures like animals and tigers and bears and whatever's in the Galapagos, but they're mutated. And Kraven the Hunter is just there to hunt them and fight them. It's like Predator in the jungle, but we're following the Predator, and the Arnold Schwarzeneggers are a bunch of mutated lizard folk. That would be so cool, dog. That's how you do that. And then you see like maybe like Norman Osborn, when he gets back and he wins, he's like, I need you to hunt down an animal for me again. And he's like, what animal? And then Norman Osborn's like, the Spider-Man. And it's like, oh shit, that's how you do it. There's your Kraven the Hunter movie. I just pitched it to you. That would make me like Kraven. Don't make him a nice guy, okay? Make him an asshole. Make him a dick who thinks he's better than everyone. You know, maybe he's in a competition. Maybe he's like in a fight to survive, like on an island against like 24 other competitors, but not the Hunger Games. But he's just looking to survive, and he's fighting, and he's doing all this weird, dangerous shit. And, like, he has to hunt these other humans to survive. And it's like, oh, that'd be cool, too. And you try to see him, like, maybe he teams up with this person, but then he betrays them because he wants to survive and win. See, there's how you do a Kraven movie. I guess you can do a Kraven movie. I love Kraven the Hunter. He's definitely my number one favorite Spider-Man villain. Mysterio, how the fuck do you do a Mysterio movie? Why would you even do a Mysterio movie? The guy's wearing a damn fishbowl on his head. And there's the problem. If you're doing a Mysterio movie, he better wear the damn fishbowl, or else it's not a Mysterio movie. I want Mysterio to be the next villain in the next Spider-Man movie. I think he'd be perfect. He's the right kind of weird, a failed actor. People think he's ugly. That's perfect. That's right up Spider-Man's alley for a villain. He's not too big and scary. He uses illusions. And I think that's how you do it. You don't do a Mysterio movie. You can do, what other movies could you do? J. Jonah Jameson movie would be cool. His son going to space and becoming Man-Wolf. That'd be a cool one to see. That'd be a cool. I'd watch that movie. Man-Wolf, what's his name? John James Jr. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about though. That'd be a cool one to see. Man, is there any other Spider-Man villains that could have their own movie? I guess Dr. Octopus could. That'd be kind of cool to see. Venom, definitely. We know Venom could do it. Carnage is going to be in Venom. It's weird to think about because not a lot of them could do it. They're all just there's a thing about Spider-Man villains, and I think he's got a great rogues gallery. He has some of the best rogues out there. He really does. But the thing is, they're not, parts of him. The way that you see Batman villains, again, I'll bring up Batman, the Joker, Two-Face, the Penguin, the Riddler, they're all parts of Batman's identity as a person and who Batman is, because they're all different ways that they are, like him. The Joker is his opposite. Bane breaks him physically. Well, Joker breaks him emotionally. Well, Two-Face breaks his honor. All these different kind of things are being played into those stories. They're different parts of what make Batman Batman. Spider-Man isn't who he is because of his villains. He's who he is because of his Uncle Ben and how he acts around the world. Just because he's a kid, Yeah. It's hard to make the villains matter in Spider-Man. It is. But there's important ways you can do it. You can definitely make them good, but you can't get solo movies with these guys. I know I just pitched a Kraven the Hunter movie. I'd watch it. I wouldn't say, do it. It's a great idea. I'd watch it, but, make him the bad guy. Make them all the bad guys. Don't need any of these stupid solo movies. Alright, we are coming to the close of this episode of Taran's World. And how are we going to end this episode? Well, we went on so many different tangents and rants that have nothing to do with anything except stuff about Spider-Man movies. Let's get into the comic books of Spider-Man. What are my favorite comic books of Spider-Man? Well, I have not read a lot of them. I haven't. I've never been a big fan of this character. I love him a lot, but he's not my favorite. One of the last favorite runs of mine was Superior Spider-Man. I read the whole run of Superior Spider-Man. Absolutely thought the book was incredible, so fun to read and just listen to. I haven't gotten to anything after that from Spider-Man. I think he was really great in the Civil War comic. I definitely think you should pick that up. Definitely pick that up. And I've read a lot of the Ultimate Spider-Man run, the 160 issue run. I do have an graded issue of The Death of Spider-Man. It's not worth a lot, but that Death of Spider-Man was one of my favorite comics. It still is. It's one of the coolest comics I have in my collection. I just absolutely love that book. It's such an important one, and just seeing what it means and how everything... It's a concluding book. It ends. It doesn't have another part. It doesn't have another thing. It's the end of Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe, and then we launch into Miles later. I loved that whole run because it just is a conclusion, and it mattered. It was so important and impactful, and the way Peter ends it is so heartbreaking, and it gets me emotional just to think about it because it was so good. It was such a great run. And I still think that's where you should start if you want to read some new Spider-Man stuff. Start with the Ultimate Spider-Man. You can probably get some collections of it. There's got to be some collected volumes of it somewhere. I read it on the app. Yeah, I know. That's a whole other issue we'll talk about another day, is the app versus grabbing the paper. I like getting the paper, but where I live, it's hard to get that kind of stuff. It sucks sometimes, man. But no, I said earlier, Kraven the Hunter and Mysterio are my two favorite Spider-Man villains. I really do like Boomerang and the Superior Foes of Spider-Man. I think those are really cool characters. I think should be adapted into a Netflix series. Is these kind of low-life villains who don't have anything that really matter for them. They're just trying to figure out who they are, what they can do. That's what I want to see done. That's who I want to see next in a Spider-Man, kind of anything, because I think those characters are good. Boomerang is a character I always loved. From his introduction, his new modern costume is so cool, man. Ah, I love that costume. Boomerang is so cool. The Shocker's cool. Bokeem Woodbine is playing him. That's great. That's exciting. And I think we got confirmation that Donald Glover's the Prowler? Is that what I heard right? Because if Donald Glover is the Prowler, you know they're going to spin that shit off somehow. Like, they've done it before in the comics. The Prowler is a great character because he's not really a hero or a villain. He's just kind of, like, in the middle doing what he can to do his thing. I love him. Donald Glover is the greatest man alive right now. Like, he is. He's taken over everything in the world. He's taken over Star Wars. He's taken over Marvel. They're going to cast him as Jon Stewart in the Green Lantern movie. I just know it. He's taken over TV. I really hope he's the new Willy Wonka if we ever get a Willy Wonka reboot. Like this kid should just do everything. He's just so good in everything he does. So I really hope the Prowler is good. The Scorpion is kind of a dumb villain. I never thought much of the Scorpion. He looks cool. His tail's cool. He's the closest thing to a spider. That's cool. Talked about Venom a bit. I think the Venom is a really important villain too when he's trying to do the right thing and be good, and when he's fighting his kin. I think that's when the Venom shines. I really do like Venom. I think he's cool. He looks cool. He's a great design, great character. The Asian Venom or the Eddie Brock, they both look really good. Carnage is the absolute wrecking point for just that kind of stuff because it makes sense to me that we'd see Carnage. I don't like any of the other like Toxin, Scream, or whatever they're called. Those guys are the worst, but Carnage is so cool. He's so intense. He's so brutal. There's some great Venom and Carnage action figures from the Marvel Select line that get you so many accessories, so much great sculpting, and there's this whole thing. How do you like your Venom? You like your Venom buff and creepy with the long tongue and the sharp fangs. I like my Venom sleek, muscular, the big grin on his face where you can't see the tongue or anything. I like a sleek looking Venom. I don't like the big scary hulking Venom. I like a sleek looking Venom where it's just kind of creepy to look at, and that's the kind of Venom I want to see Tom Hardy be. I do. That's the Venom. The Rhino, I like the Rhino. I said earlier, I think Paul Giamatti fucked them up, but there are good ways to make the Rhino. There really are good ways to make the Rhino, and I think we will see them at some point. I can see them bringing the Rhino back. That's a good character to make a side villain. Mysterio, talked about him. Scorpion, talked about him. Who am I forgetting? Everyone else I'm forgetting, you know. Sandman, Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, bring him back. Green Goblin, the most important character in the Spider-Man villains gallery. We need to see him at some point. We gotta see him at some point, right? We have to. You don't bring in Oscorp. That's fine. Bring in Norman Osborn, though, because Norman Osborn is the best foil to the life of Spider-Man, because he is Spider-Man's life. He is best friends with his kid. He knows everything about Norman Osborn. They're great foils. They're perfect for each other. I want to see that come back. I really want to see them come back in that way. Tombstone is a cool guy. I don't want to see anything done with Tombstone. If you're going to do something like that, bring in Hammerhead, because Hammerhead's pretty fucked up. Yeah, bring in some crime guys, Hammerhead, Tombstone. Do stuff with them. I don't care. Like, that's cool. The Beetle is a guy. I fucking hate the Beetle. I hate the Beetle. I don't care. Like, it's stupid. I have no attachment to that character. Don't care about him at all. But who do I have attachment to is Hobgoblin. Because, like Carnage, man, just get your character that was successful and make a new version where they're more crazy. Hobgoblin's so crazy. Make a crazy Hobgoblin after we kill Norman Osborn. That'd be so cool, so funny, so interesting. And I think we should see the Jackal at some point. I think this is like your end of the Tom Holland era villain where we see the Jackal and we do the Clone Saga, do the Clone Conspiracy, do whatever you want. And that's going to lead me into my last point of this episode. You know, before we get into that, I just want to say I'm really sorry for all the long pauses in this video. I'm just getting off work. I do work night shifts, so it's just really tough sometimes to have the time to edit or to, you know, prepare for these kind of things. But I think Spider-Man is a great story. I just wanted to talk about, even if it's just me rambling on about things I find or things I like, things I don't like, that kind of stuff. So thank you, and I promise next time we do a Taran's World, it'll be way better done and just probably make more sense, more cohesive talking. Yeah, My apologies. So, the last point I want to bring up in this episode of Taran's World is, what are your favorite incarnations of different Spider-Men? Now, I jumped off this from the Jackal, even though I went on a little stupid talk about how I'm sorry. I really like Ben Reilly. Now, why do I like Ben Reilly so much? I don't know. There's just something about this character that every time I saw him and every time I see him, it's like, this makes sense to me. And not that cloning makes sense to me, because cloning is stupid. It's an easy, cheap ploy to get more stuff done. But I like Ben Reilly because the character's so unique. He's so different. He doesn't want to be like Peter. And I like everything about Ben Reilly. I think the character's fun and pretty cool. Ben Reilly was cool. I love his classic costume with the blue hoodie. That's the Ben Reilly I know. That's the Ben Reilly I love. And that's the one I want to see. The Scarlet Spider. That's a cool name too. I like that name. Just some other versions I really like. Miles Morales, I think, is a really important character. He's not my favorite Spider-Man interpretation, though. I really like Miles Morales. I think he's a character that a lot of people love and a lot of people respect. But at the time of his introduction, nobody knew he was going to be as big as he did. They didn't know they were going to have to move him into their mainstream comic universe. That's why we had a whole event about it. Because we need Miles to interact with the main characters. But no, I like Miles. His costume is cool. The character is important. He was just never for me. Never for me. If that's a problem, I'm sorry, but I never really cared for Miles. I understand the importance of Miles. I understand why people like him. He was never the one for me. Now, we had this whole event called Spider-Verse where all the Spider-Men came together. That's cool. I'll tell you who was the one for me. One of my favorite ideas ever. And I have to talk about this game really quick. There's this game that came out a while back called Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. And in that Shattered Dimensions, I was introduced to two versions of Spider-Man that I didn't know existed, but have become two of some of my favorite interpretations of Spider-Man. The first one being Spider-Man 2099. Now, I talked about his action figure earlier before. There's not a lot of merchandise for 2099, but what you can get, you're going to love. There's a lot of good stuff with him. That's there. I mean, there's not a lot, but what's there is really good 2099 stuff. This character is so cool. I love the idea that in a 2099 we still have a Spider-Man, and I love that it's a different guy, not related to Peter. It's Miguel O'Hara, and I want to see them bring him into a movie. I really think there's a way you can bring him into a movie that makes sense, that would work, and I want to see him played by Diego Luna. Now, is he a Mexican Latino actor? Miguel? I mean, I don't know, make him one. Miguel can work as that kind of name. I just love Diego Luna or Santiago Cabrera. I want one of those two to play him. They're really great guys. I don't know. 2099 has a cool costume, a cool concept, and I think it works really well. Now here's the other one from Shattered Dimensions that I really did like. Spider-Man Noir. Now, if you don't know what Spider-Man Noir is, and a while back, Marvel did this event where we were going to make their things darker and set in a different era, like the 20s. There was Iron Man, Luke Cage, Captain America, and of course, Spider-Man. I think they did Daredevil too. I can't remember. But Spider-Man, it takes the character you love, you respect him, puts him in the 20s, Prohibition era kind of shit, and completely changes the way you think about this character. He has a gun. His Uncle Ben is eaten alive by the Vulture. This was such a good idea, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Everything about it worked for me. It made me feel happy. And I like that kind of dark era of stuff where there's kind of the trench coats and the cool fedora hats. Are they fedora hats? I don't know. You know what I mean, where everyone looks like they did in Casablanca. That's the kind of shit I like. And I really like this era, and I fell in love with this character. When he was in Spider-Verse, I was really happy. This character was so cool. This is probably one of my this is my favorite version of Spider-Man. It's the Spider-Man Noir, because I'm a big fan of noir crime thrillers. I'm a big fan of that era, and I'm a big fan of all that stuff. And seeing a Spider-Man costume, you need to look up the Spider-Man costume from Spider-Man Noir, because it is gorgeous. You are going to think, that's crazy, that's awesome. And it's just such a fun concept that's so dark and takes the character in a new direction that I didn't know I wanted or needed to see. But I absolutely loved it. So, one of my other favorite comic book characters, she's definitely in my top 10, is Spider-Woman Jessica Drew. I don't consider her a different version of Spider-Man. I think she's a completely new character. So, all those incarnations, the Jennifer Carpenter, the other one, I'm not going to count them as Spider-Man. as different types of Spider-Man, because they're not. Mayday Parker, that's a different story. I like her. Mayday Parker's kind of cool. She's not my favorite, though. Man, yeah. Spider-Gwen is a really interesting character. I still, to this day, I know it's been a couple years now, but to this day, I'm still not sold on Spider-Gwen. I mean, just kind of like Uncle Ben, I think. I think Gwen Stacy works best when she's dead, because that's where she plays an important role as a character. Peter still feels the trauma of losing her, and it kind of ruined his friendship with Harry, and I think that's some important stuff that we need to be played up more. I don't know. Spider-Gwen, I like that she's from a different Earth. I completely think that makes the character a little better. Not saying the character is perfect, though. I like that she's younger, and that's when Peter lost her, is when she was younger, and then she got to grow. Because on her Earth, right, didn't Peter die? He like turned into the lizard and die. So she gets to see an older version of Peter, and he gets to see a younger version of Gwen. I like that. It's who Gwen was when he lost her, and who Peter could have turned out to be when she lost him. So I think that's really good. The costuming for Spider-Gwen is incredible, and that's I think the biggest takeaway I have from Spider-Gwen is her costume is cool. And I don't know. I'm not 100% there with the character yet. I hope I can grow to like her more over time and just be really cool. I'm cool with her. I don't know. There's just something off about her so far from me. If you're a fan of her, I get that. I think the character's cool. She's important. She does her thing. I like her. She's interesting. She's just not for me. I'm a noir kind of guy. That's the kind of guy I am. That's the kind of Spider-Man I like. Other Spider-Man costumes I like from Peter Parker. Iron Spider, great costume. The big time Spider-Man with the weird green colored and the red and the way that the color changed, those were cool. Like those costumes. The Marvel Legends sucked for the green one. Just that kind of stuff. The Future Foundation, I liked the coloring on it. I'll say it. The black suit Spider-Man, really cool coloring, really cool costume. I guess that's where we'll end it here. All right. So that's my thoughts on the Spider-Man world and all the Spider-Man stuff going on in those worlds. Let me know what you guys think of Spider-Man, what you think of the favorite villain, who your favorite villain is, what do you guys like for a costume or for a different interpretation of Spider-Man, what you think of Homecoming, if you're excited, your thoughts on Flash Thompson. That's a recap of everything we talked about. And if you think Uncle Ben should be in Homecoming, yeah, that's cool. So thank you for listening to this episode of Taran's World. I will catch you in the next video, and yeah, with great power comes great responsibility. Good luck, guys.